When it comes to anime, villains aren't just obstacles. They're the monsters who betray, manipulate, and leave scars that never heal. Today on Nonagon, we're counting down the top 6 most hated and cruel anime villains. These aren't the stylish or tragic ones. No, these are the cruel, the sadistic, the ones who make you clench your fists and scream at the screen. But before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to Nonagon, your place for epic lists, anime insights, and the darker side of storytelling. Starting off our list at number 6, we have Rachel, Tower of God. Some villains are terrifying because of their power. Rachel, on the other hand, proves that you don't need strength, magic, or an army to become one of the most hated characters in anime history. All you need is betrayal. From the very beginning of Tower of God, Bam's entire world revolves around her. She's his guiding light, his reason to climb the tower. And what does she do in return? She pushes him straight into the abyss, both literally and figuratively. That single act of betrayal sent shockwaves through the fandom, instantly cementing Rachel's place as one of anime's most despised characters. What makes her cruelty sting even more is that Rachel doesn't lash out because of some tragic destiny or unavoidable curse. No. She betrays Bam purely out of jealousy. She wants the spotlight. She wants to be chosen. And when she realizes Bam's natural kindness and determination outshine her, she decides the only way to win is to destroy him. Rachel isn't a powerhouse who slaughters armies. She doesn't have to be. Her weapon is manipulation, and her strength lies in crushing the trust of the one person who believed in her unconditionally. That kind of emotional cruelty cuts deeper than any sword. And perhaps the most infuriating thing about Rachel is that she never once shows remorse. Not even a flicker of guilt. She just keeps climbing, stepping over everyone who dared to care about her. She's not evil because she had to be. She's evil because she chose to be. So, while Rachel may not be the strongest villain on this list, she absolutely deserves her spot. Because betrayal is one of the cruelest weapons a villain can wield. And when it comes to betrayal, Rachel takes the crown. Coming up next, we move from manipulation to pure toxicity with a character who turned relationships into weapons. Number 5, Mami Nanami, Rent a Girlfriend. Anime villains come in many forms. Some swing swords, some conquer kingdoms, and some they just ruin lives with a smile. That's exactly what Mami Nanami does in Rent a Girlfriend. And make no mistake, she's not just a toxic ex-girlfriend. She's a full-blown manipulator who knows exactly how to twist people's hearts for her own amusement. At first glance, Mami seems harmless. She's cheerful, cute, and approachable. But peel back that mask, and what do we find? A master manipulator who strings Kazuya along, feeds him just enough affection to keep him obsessed, and then pulls the rug out from under him whenever she wants control. It's not love. It's not care. It's cruelty, disguised as charm. What makes Mami so hated is her ability to play victim while being the villain. She'll sabotage relationships, whisper poisonous words, and act innocent the whole time, leaving the audience screaming at their screens. You know the type, the one who knows she's toxic and leans into it anyway, because watching others suffer makes her feel powerful. But here's the kicker, Mami isn't destroying armies or sacrificing kingdoms. Her battlefield is the human heart. And sometimes, that's worse. Because unlike epic villains who wield overwhelming force, Mami's cruelty is personal. It's intimate. She takes something as fragile as love and weaponizes it, turning affection into torment. Fans despise her because she represents the worst kind of antagonist, the one who hides behind fake smiles and excuses while cutting deeper than any sword ever could. And that's why Mami Nanami earns her place on this list. Not through power, not through death counts, but through pure, calculated emotional sadism. And if you thought manipulative relationships were bad, wait until you meet our next villain. Number 4 is a man who cloaked his ambition in the word peace, but left behind a trail of cruelty and blood. That's right. We're talking about Danzo from Naruto Shippuden. Some villains are loud, flashy, and impossible to miss. Danzo, however, operates in the shadows. And that's exactly what makes him so despised. He's not the kind of villain who charges into battle for glory. No, he's the snake slithering behind the scenes, manipulating events, sacrificing innocence, and calling it all for the good of the village. On paper, Danzo is a leader. In reality, he's a parasite feeding off Konoha's tragedies. He builds a secret organization, Root, where he strips children of their emotions and turns them into weapons. He hoards stolen Sharingan, desecrating the dead to fuel his lust for power. And worst of all, he plays the role of a patriot, convincing himself, and sometimes others, that all this cruelty is justified. But fans see through it. They see the man who orchestrated the Uchiha massacre, who manipulated Itachi into slaughtering his own clan. They see a coward who hides behind the word peace, but only ever seeks control. Every decision Danzo makes leaves a trail of blood, betrayal, and grief. And yet, he looks in the mirror and calls it righteousness. What makes Danzo so infuriating isn't just what he does, it's the hypocrisy. He claims to protect Konoha, but in truth, he's destroying its very soul. He treats people like pawns, lives like disposable tools, and emotions like weaknesses. That coldness, that willingness to sacrifice anyone for his own gain, is why he's one of the most hated figures in Naruto. And let's be honest, when his downfall finally came, fans around the world cheered. Because watching Danzo finally get what he deserved was cathartic after years of manipulation and cruelty. From the shadows of Konoha, we now move to a villain whose cruelty wasn't hidden at all. In fact, it was broadcast in one of anime's most disturbing scenes ever. At number 3, we have Shu Tucker from Full Metal Alchemist. Some villains are remembered for epic battles, others for massive betrayals. But Shu Tucker, he's remembered for a single scene. One moment so disturbing, so unforgivable, that it etched itself into anime history and left fans scarred for life. When we first meet Tucker, he seems harmless, even a little pathetic. The sewing life alchemist, living quietly with his sweet daughter Nina, and their loyal dog Alexander. He looks like a man struggling to hold his life together, a washed-up alchemist clinging to relevance. But then comes the reveal, the horror. The moment when Ed and Al discover what Tucker has done, he fused his own daughter and their dog into a chimera, just to keep his state alchemist license. That single act of cruelty transcends villainy. It's not about power, it's not about ambition. It's about a man so consumed by selfishness that he destroyed the only innocent, pure thing in his life. And the way Nina's chimera form cries out, calling for her big brother, still haunts viewers to this day. It's not just sad, it's stomach-turning. What makes Tucker especially despicable is his complete lack of remorse. He doesn't weep, he doesn't apologize, he just mutters excuses about pressure, about necessity, as if sacrificing his daughter was some logical career move. That detachment is what makes him monstrous. Because even after committing one of anime's most horrifying crimes, he feels nothing. Fans didn't just hate Tucker, they loathed him. He became a symbol of cruelty, a reminder that sometimes the scariest monsters aren't demons, warlords, or aliens. Sometimes they're ordinary men who choose to do the unthinkable. From one of anime's most haunting betrayals, we move to the world of One Piece. And here, cruelty takes the form of absolute power disguised as justice. Number 2, Akainu Sakazuki. One Piece. In the world of One Piece, pirates are usually painted as the villains. But when it comes to cruelty, few characters rival Admiral Sakazuki, better known as Akainu. He isn't just feared because of his power, though his magma fruit makes him nearly unstoppable. He's hated because of the cold, merciless way he enforces his twisted brand of justice. Akainu lives by one philosophy, absolute justice. And to him, that means no hesitation, no compassion, and no room for doubt. If he suspects you might be a threat, you're already guilty. Civilians, collateral damage, innocent lives, worthless if they stand in the way of his mission, he'll burn entire ships, wipe out families, and call it righteousness. But nothing sealed Akainu's place in anime infamy more than the Marineford War. In one of the most gut-wrenching moments in One Piece, Akainu delivers the fatal blow to Port Gasti Ace right in front of Luffy. That scene didn't just break the hearts of fans. It turned Akainu into one of the most despised villains in anime history. Because Ace wasn't just a character, he was beloved. And Akainu took him away in the cruelest way possible, with zero hesitation. What makes Akainu terrifying isn't that he's a sadist. He doesn't laugh at suffering like some villains do. No, he truly believes he's right. that his brutal methods are the only path to order. And that conviction makes him far more dangerous. Because how do you reason with someone who believes cruelty is morality? Fans will never forgive him for Ace's death, and even now, his presence in the story sparks rage. Akainu isn't just an antagonist, he's the embodiment of authority gone rotten, a villain who hides behind the word justice while staining it with blood. But as cruel and unforgivable as Akainu is, there's one villain who stands above them all. A man whose betrayal shattered trust, whose ambition consumed everything, and whose name is synonymous with hate. At number 1, the most despised villain in anime history, Griffith from Berserk. Some villains are hated, some are feared, but Griffith is on another level. He's not just the most despised villain in anime, he's one of the most loathed characters in all of fiction, and it all comes down to one word: betrayal. At the start of Berserk, Griffith is charismatic, ambitious, even admirable. He inspires loyalty, he builds the Band of the Hawk from nothing, attracting men and women who would follow him into hell itself, and among them, his closest comrades, Guts and Casca. For a time, it feels like Griffith is destined for greatness, a flawed but brilliant leader chasing his dream. But then comes the eclipse, one of the most infamous, traumatic, and horrifying events in anime history. Faced with the loss of his dream, Griffith makes a choice that cements his place in infamy. He sacrifices every single member of the Band of the Hawk, his friends, his family, his comrades, all so he can ascend as one of the God Hand. And if that weren't enough, he violates Casca in front of Guts, twisting the knife of betrayal so deep it still echoes decades later. It's not just what he does, it's how he does it. Cold, calculated, without a shred of remorse. Griffith doesn't stumble into villainy. He doesn't lose control. He chooses it. He chooses power over loyalty, ambition over humanity, himself over everyone who ever trusted him. That's why fans don't just dislike Griffith, they hate him. They hate what he represents, the kind of betrayal that scars not just characters, but the audience. His actions left Guts broken, Casca shattered, and viewers outraged in a way few other villains have ever managed. Griffith isn't number 1 just because he's cruel. He's number 1 because he embodies the very essence of unforgivable. He's the reminder that sometimes the worst monsters aren't the ones who come from outside. They're the ones you once called a friend. And that's why Griffith will forever sit at the top of this list. The most hated, the most despised, the ultimate traitor in anime. But before we wrap up, let's recap our lineup of villains you love to hate. And there you have it. 6 villains who don't just challenge our heroes, but scar the story forever. From Rachel's betrayal to Griffith's ultimate treachery, these are the most hated and cruel villains in anime. Which one do you despise the most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Nonagon for more epic lists, anime insights, and the darker side of storytelling. Until next time, stay sharp.